I am all Bruinsed up right now. We are bearing down for an NCDC draft preview interview. Before I let Lucas get done with a lot of the important stuff here with this interview with Coach Mike Anderson of the Boston Junior Bruins, I want to bear down. I want to get down to brass tacks here. Something's Bruins in Boston. Coach, you're getting to work. Draft day is just minutes away. What are you going through right now in the final preparations, the final moments, and what do you have to get done to have a successful NCDC draft day?
Well, I think a lot of the work starts months ago, right? It's a lot of relationships that you have with players, and not just in our area, but quite honestly across the country, right? Agents, advisors, different connections and relationships that you've built over the years to identify the right players for your program. And really kind of, the youth in our NCDC program has always kind of been the crown jewel for us, right? That's always where we go, giving young players opportunities to come onto our team and play meaningful minutes and big roles right away. And in turn, turning that into Division I opportunities for those players. And another really successful year with our core of younger players this year, and obviously their growth and development, I felt like was a big part of the reason why we were able to advance to the finals. So really excited to get going again with 5s and 6s this year. And, we're excited about the players that we've identified and hopefully have the opportunity to add to our club.
Now, Coach, we call you guys, it's basically the college commitment factory up there. You guys bring players in to get into that system, the development, the growth model that you put in place there. It's second to none. And you come out, you just missed winning a Deneen Cup this past year with a short roster, right? You had injuries you dealt with. You guys battled through more adversity than most and still nearly raised the cup. Coming into this season, what are the goals? What are the plans? What are the benchmarks over the next few months getting prepared for NCDC campaign coming up?
Yeah, well, I think, our mindset is always about trying to create the right environment, kind of put the right structure and discipline around our players day in and day out. And if we're holding them accountable and we're giving them a Division I type experience, in terms of their day-to-day preparation, practice, what they're doing in the weight room, our analytics for kind of how we're asking them to go about their business, then we feel like we're giving them the best opportunity to kind of grow and develop over the course of the year, right? So with that in mind, we'll have some guys that will return to our club like they do every year. And then we'll have a bunch that, that are still to be determined, that'll have opportunities to make our team. And I'm excited to go through that process again here.
Now, Lucas, you love this Boston Junior Bruins side just as much as I do. Can you kind of ask Coach, what do you have for Coach Anderson here as he gets prepped for the draft? And he's obviously, like all these coaches are, on the road at all times, it feels like this time of year.
Yeah, no, it is a busy season for a lot of these coaches. And Coach, my question for you is you come into this season, you finish the regular season in good standing, get to the playoffs, you get all the way to the Deneen Cup. But I think one of the interesting things about your squad, it's seemingly every year, is your defense and goaltending is just so incredibly impressive. Your net minding, especially every single year, your team has one of the best net minders in not just the NCDC, but in the country. How do you guys continuously find this talent? Is it partially the development in-house, partially your scouting services? Just how do you find all this great defensive talent?
Well, it's interesting, right? It actually started, kind of back with one of our own coaches, Nevin Hamilton, who had a heck of a career at UMass Lowell and went on and played a little bit professionally after that. And it really kind of started a run of, I think, 15 years in a row where we had a Division I committed goalie that came through our program. You look at what Yaniv Peretz was able to do this year at Quinnipiac. TJ Sempton-Felt, they're obviously stepping in at Northeastern and absolutely crushing it, with the opportunity that he got there. And so I feel like it feeds itself to an extent where I think guys who play that position are really comfortable with the development that they get here. The opportunity to go into the net and play at a level that's going to give them the exposure and preparation that they need, obviously, to go to the highest levels of college hockey and be successful. So we had another really good one this year. He'll be a Division I hockey player. He'll be a scholarship goaltender, and we'll be excited to see that opportunity present itself for him, and and for the guys that'll follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, Winnie, man. Lucas, I started off with a bear filter on, and Winnie was in net all year winning games. Win was, you talk about this squad in Boston, you talk about what you guys do there with the program. Coach, the NCDC better than most, right? Can you talk to the parent at home, the player at home who's learning what this brand is, this new brand in Tier 2 hockey? Why is the NCDC so successful in getting players on to the next level? And what's the future of it look like to you? I mean, what do you see in the NCDC?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think it's really important for folks to understand, right? So, if you kind of look at who we are and what we do and maybe where we're unique. And for me, I would say a couple things, right? Number one, obviously the geography helps, right? The ability for folks to be able to get in their car and come to the rink, a short drive, and watch quality hockey players, who are coached really well, who are held accountable, who are trained the right way. That's made a difference for us with some of our older guys. And with our younger guys, because we've got more stability out here, right? We don't necessarily have the pressure to coach to win, if you will, right? We want to win a lot, and we've been fortunate enough to do that over the years. But I'm not worried about selling 3,500 tickets to our home opener. Okay, I don't have to worry about how many beers were bought. None of that stuff is player centric, right? And I think because we're player centric, you're focused on the individual player and the growth and development of that player. What you have found is that young players have had an unbelievable experience here because I can play them through their mistakes. I can really give them the opportunity to go back on the ice, correct what they did wrong, and improve and get better. And there is no question that if our 04s, and to some extent, even our 03s, right, with Gafredo and Iki and Easton, if those guys didn't improve and become leaders on our team this year, we wouldn't have been very good. We went through a stretch where we lost 4 or 5 games in a row. I don't know if we've ever been in a spot like that before, but we just kept sticking with it with those guys. And obviously it paid off for us in the end. Played a really good championship series, and those kids were, a big part of the reason why. So I think that's where, this league has differentiated itself, in terms of maybe what some younger players might look at as other options. And the last piece I would say, listen, on that is, we had 6 players from our team last year that are in the USHL this year. 5 of those 6 kids were impactful players on their team. Chris Delaney being the other, who is in plays on arguably the best junior hockey team in North America and a really deep Chicago Steel team. But when he got his opportunities this year, made the most of them as well. Cam Lund right now projects to go in the first or second round in the NHL draft. If those young players didn't get the ice time, the puck touches, the development that they got here last year, they would not have prepared themselves to have that level of success. 27 players that have played in our program now in the last 2 years are going to play Division I hockey.
Absolutely ridiculous. That's why we call it the factory, folks. They do it the right way. They get the job done. It's players first. You talk about Iki and the creativity he developed this year, and Easton's ability to score the puck. And you talk about Jimmy Gofredo, talk about a guy who steps up and scores 2 goals in 2 games in the biggest stage that you have in the NCDC. These were guys that were given the opportunity to step up because of the mentality there in Boston. The junior Bruins continue to win on, off, and in the development portions of the game of hockey. Coach Anderson, we thank you for joining us. The NCDC Draft, live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com. You search NCDC Draft, or just hit the like and subscribe button right now. That little bell, it'll remind you. You don't got to remember things. I'm bad at remembering things. Lucas has to remind me all the time. But guess what? You hit the bell, it'll tell you Wednesday, May 11th. Tune in, NCDC Draft. It's going down.